So, my name is Danielle, and I'm happy to share my experience with you all today. There we go. So, this slide is actually kind of showing you the end. Sort of, not the end, but sort of my milestone, the key milestone where I am in life. And so I'm starting at the end to show you kind of the steps that I took to get where I am. So, I am a former Peel student. I'm talking kindergarten to grade 12. I've been, my middle school, Camilla, is around the corner. My high school is in Brampton, Heart Lake, so it's, yeah, there we go. And so it's been pretty cool to go through the system. So my husband and I have 3 insane kids. Our eldest is actually now in university, and our middle guy is in high school. Our youngest is in grade 5. And what's been interesting is growing up in Peel is pretty cool. Like when I look out at the audience and I saw the diversity around here, that's pretty much what my experience was like. Tons of friends, different backgrounds, different experiences. It was amazing. And I noticed that my kids have had the same kind of experience as well, and they get to have lots of friends from everywhere. There was one thing though that was hard to articulate as a child because I didn't know what it was, but something felt like it was missing in my experience. And that was seeing people who looked like me in leadership roles, as principals, as teachers, even in the curriculum. When it came to looking at books, anything about history, myself and a lot of my other racialized colleagues, my racialized friends, were not included. We weren't there. And it was kind of interesting to see that my kids, in the exact same school system that I went to, are experiencing the same thing. So, I mean, there have been slight changes, which is great. But it's kind of slow. So, just to be honest, it's kind of slow when it comes to that. We need to see ourselves in spaces. We need to see ourselves in different roles as leaders, because when other people look around, what are they gonna do? So, I'll take you through this. So, high school, elementary school, lots of friends. It was amazing. Went to York University, fantastic. What was great was, again, the diversity was there. I had an opportunity to take courses, like black focus, black cultural courses, African studies courses, things about my history. And my professors were black. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is pretty cool. This is really nice. Finished my degree, and I went on to Sheridan College for my postgrad in corporate communications. And let me tell you something. There was a shift. I literally was like the only person of color, like a handful of us in the class, and I was like, oh, this is different. Okay, but it's just an experience. It's just a one-time thing. No big deal. And for the first time, I felt excluded. I felt like when people would get together for assignments or to share homework, there were like these cliques, these little things that I just didn't really fit into. So I thought, okay, no big deal. Then came the real world, because in communications, there's not as much diversity. There's a lot of women, which is wonderful, but there's not as much diversity in this area. So something that we definitely need to work on. But what was challenging is growing up as first-generation Canadian, so my parents, West Indian background, and this may be the experience for some other, any of you who are also maybe first generation, but there's this thing that you're kind of taught and kind of, it's sort of embedded in your soul, that you have to work twice as hard to be half as good as your peers. And even though nobody says it, you look around and society shows you that's pretty much what it is. And I know for some it may be hard to understand. Half as good? Well, while I was going through the process, it was interesting to see my colleagues, my peers flourishing. They were getting all kinds of offers, and I was literally crossing my fingers and praying for contract extensions. They were flourishing, and I couldn't figure out the secret code. What was this code that they had? What was it that sort of gave them this edge, this secret thing, and I couldn't figure it out. I did have a mentor, which was great, once I went into the workforce, and that was helpful. It was helpful. A strong female mentor, and it was great. There were some things on a racial level that she couldn't connect with or couldn't understand, but as far as kind of getting through the career, it was good. It was really, really helpful. And so when I was going through these moments, what I really found hard to sort of silence those voices of like the negative talk, it was hard to silence those thoughts of maybe you aren't as good as that person who was actually terrible in your class, but maybe this isn't the place for you. And it made me think, like today, like reflecting on these things, I kind of think, okay, if I could talk to Danielle, what would I tell her? What would I say to her while she's going through these experiences? And I'd say, you know what? And this is one of the things where you look in the mirror, whatever you need to do. But like, I am enough. I'm confident. I am going to be successful. I'm beautiful. I'm intelligent. And I'd be like, you know what, Dee? You got this. You got this. And sometimes that voice is so small. It's so quiet because everything you see around you is screaming, you can't do this. And I'm gonna make sure you can't do this because I'm gonna not allow you to get these opportunities. I'm not this posting, this job, you're overqualified. You don't need that. It makes it hard. It makes it hard. But as I said, having a mentor, having someone who can really help you through that and see that potential in you that you can't see and that's being drowned out by all the noise is challenging. So, interestingly enough, today, which is wonderful, there's a good side to the story, y'all. Don't worry, it gets better. So basically today I am a manager. I manage a team of communications professionals. And it's been a great experience kind of going through this and working through the process and really kind of centering myself and finding who I am and where do I fit in. Sometimes you kind of have to create your own box. You got to create your own space sometimes because it's just how it is. For some people, that's how it is. But as a communication professional, it has been such an amazing career. Like as I'm working with a team, we have won so many awards, international, local, but these, by the way, are not all mine. It's our team, it's in the boardroom. But this is just an example of when you work with people who want to work with you and you're working together towards a goal, you can really accomplish great things. Also, while I was going through this process, I also took a course, a Leader Like Me program where it's about leadership and for women of color. And I have to say that this being a part of this program is something that really helped to bring my personal passion to the next level. In 2017, I started a book club for Black youth, for Black children. And it was just for 10 kids. We just said, you know what? Like I said, when I'm looking at the school system, the books aren't there. There really isn't anywhere for you to see yourself. So I said, you know what? Instead of waiting for Black History Month, when all the books are on display, I'm going to show these kids that they are important, that their stories matter, that they are valued every day of the year. I'm Black all day, all year, so I celebrate it all the time. So with this book club, like I said, we started off with 10 girls. Then the moms were like, wait, I have a son. Do you have a group for boys? So then I had 20 kids, some girls and some boys. Pandemic happened and I had to shut it down and move online. But what sort of brought me through this was using all the skills that I had that were kind of buried inside, that taking this course and doing other things to bring my confidence back up and remind myself what I knew all along, that I am pretty awesome. The reason, this is just a quick slide I'll show you for the reason why this book club is really important is, sorry, this is a statistic from 2018, still totally relevant today. But basically when it comes to children's literature, 50% of books feature white characters. Almost 30% feature animals. 10% have Black characters, which makes an understanding of why it's hard to find these books. And then the rest is for all other racialized characters, right? So, I mean, the diagram is not really accurate if you want to really make 50%, but I get it. So like I said, the book club, so we've had we're starting again on Saturday. It's a virtual book club for Black kids. We bring Black authors in. They read books and see themselves in the characters. It is absolutely amazing. And the impact is just, it is beyond. It is absolutely beyond. So we've had 10 kids, lots of authors. We get to go out into the community. We get to share things, working with different school boards. And the key is really just making reading fun. So with our kids, we make sure we do things to integrate reading with actual opportunities, going out to watch movies, playing in the park, where we're doing scatterboards. We may think that's kind of boring, but when people walk by and they see all these Black kids sitting in the park playing scatterboards, they're like, what is going on over here? But they're having a ball because they're loving words and loving reading, loving themselves. Authors, this has been another good one. I don't know if any of you know Lawrence Hill, but he is like my favorite author in the whole world. And when he joined our book club in the summer that passed, I literally geeked out. I had to like keep it together, try to keep calm, but oh my God, the kids, they absolutely loved it. And going back to talking about leadership, so all of my facilitators who helped to run the session are Black educators, Black community leaders, because it's important. They need to see the community supporting them. They need to know that these teachers, even though they're exhausted during the week, they're gonna take an hour out of their personal time to spend with these kids, to help show them they are important, to help show them their Black excellence. And that is basically what we do. Wrapping up really quickly, featured some news articles, radio, TV. It's just really getting the word out there to let people know this is what happens. This is what happens when you tap into your brilliance. This is when you tap into these things that sometimes get left out. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up. I know I'm trying to look for my finger count here, but I could not come here without sharing book recommendations, okay? So these were our first fun books, so please. So these are just a couple titles that our high school groups have read. They gave them all 5 stars. So if you're looking for something to read, you want to take your phone out, take a quick snap, you can go ahead. The other one is about empowerment. So Michelle Obama's Becoming, there's a young adapted reader version. Maya Angelou's poem, And Still I Rise. The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, she's the one who wrote a bunch of amazing shows. And then there's Self-Care for Black Women as well, which is also pretty awesome. And that's it. That's it for me.
Is there anyone with questions? I see you.
My question is, when you were starting your knowledge book, I don't think it's called like an organization, but like your club to help spread the awareness of like colored characters represented in books. What was the process of like getting that off of the ground? And what were some major, maybe like speed bumps that you had to get over in order to like get where you are now?
Ooh, good question. Hope you have a reporter or interviewer in your career here. That's a good question. So to start the book club, so in 2019 is when I put this passion into an actual nonprofit organization. So it's called the Love of Literature Foundation Canada. I'd say what was interesting about the whole journey. It started off as something that I enjoyed. I loved reading. As a kid, I loved reading, but I only had Judy Blume and other books that had all white characters, and I just have to imagine, that I can see myself in these books. And so knowing that a lot of children, when it comes to Black children, they ask them, they say it's boring. And because teachers give them boring books, they can't see themselves in the characters, there's nothing they can relate to. So I made it a mission to kind of focus on these characters for them. I'd say during this process of getting it off the ground, it was sort of like, okay, let's see what happens. Connecting with school boards is a key, because that's where all of our students are. Some of the things that we run into, though, are roadblocks. So when we mention things like it's an affinity program for Black students, one of the roadblocks that we run into is, well, can't everybody join? And my answer is respectfully no. With the book club, it is an affinity space, a safe space for Black children and Black teens to talk about things, to connect. And I find that what's missing sometimes and a bit of a hiccup along the way is getting people to not make it about them, but understand that this is a program in a space that's for Black children. And whenever there's a space that's created for Black children, it always somehow becomes a space for all children. When you think about a staff room, right? There's a lunchroom. Everybody can eat in the lunchroom. But the staff room is for the staff. It's an affinity space for staff. Now, if all the students wanted to go eat in the staff room, would that be a problem, right? So it's just sort of helping people to understand why this space is important. When you've been excluded from a place for so long, it's important to have a space So that's one of the, sorry, long answer to your question. One of the challenges is just getting people to understand that it's not about them and their one child, or them and what they feel like they're being excluded from something. It's not about that at all. It's really about getting people to understand why the space is important. And that's pretty much what I'd say is when it comes to one of the roadblocks.